What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to Gun Guides. This is the series where I go into great detail with the stats of every one of the weapons, as well as their variants in Infinite Warfare. In today's episode, we're finally going to be getting to the G-Rrail. This one did take quite a long time, just because every variant of the G-Rrail is essentially a new gun, and therefore this is like 5 episodes in one. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so hopping into the stats of the base G-Rrail, we have a damage profile of 35, 30, 23. This means it's going to be a 3, 4, or 5 shot kill. Our rate of fire I was able to calculate at around 333 rounds per minute, which means our time to kill up close is 360 milliseconds, which is painfully slow for an up close time to kill. Our mid-range time to kill within the 4-shot kill range is 541 milliseconds, and our long-range time to kill within the 5-shot kill range is 721 milliseconds. This gun has an extremely slow time to kill in comparison to the other guns in the game. Our aim down sight time is on the slower side for assault rifles. This actually matches the Volk at 300 milliseconds, keeping in mind that most other assault rifles will aim down sight in 250 milliseconds. Our sprint out time is standard for assault rifles at 150 milliseconds, and our reload add time is right around average for assault rifles at 1.74 seconds. Our movement speed is standard for assault rifles at 94%, and our magazine capacity is 16 rounds with a total starting ammo, including the magazine that you spawn with in the gun, of 48 rounds. Getting into our ranges with the G-Rrail, as you can see here, we've got a 3-shot kill range of only 20 meters, and then our 4-shot kill range extends out to about 45 meters. Beyond that, it's going to be a 5-shot kill out to infinity. Pop a suppressor on there, you reduce your ranges by 25%, and if you pop a rifled barrel on there, you increase your ranges by 20%. Getting into headshots, we have a standard headshot multiplier of 1.1 without any attachments equipped, and this takes our headshot damage profile to a 38, 33, 25. This means that headshots will only help within the 5-shot kill range, and if you are in the 5-shot kill range, it will kill in 4 shots to the head, but every one of those shots has to hit them in the head. So realistically, without attachments, headshots are essentially useless with this gun. Once you pop hollow point on there, however, this has no effect on your 3-shot kill range, so if you're staying up close within 20 meters, hollow point's doing nothing for you. But in your standard 4 and 5-shot kill ranges, just one headshot will reduce the number of shots it takes to kill by 1. Getting into recoil, this is a semi-auto gun, so it's not going to have a crazy amount of recoil, but it doesn't really recenter super fast, so there is definitely some recoil with this, and it's primarily vertical. As for our hipfire spread, it's standard for assault rifles. It's exactly the same as the NV4, the Type 2, and the OSA. Now moving on to the extra part with this gun, the thing that makes this gun unique is the fact that you can charge it for an increase in damage. Now the way the system works is actually quite simple. It takes 3 seconds from the moment that you initiate aiming down sight, so this isn't when you're fully aimed down sight, but when you start aiming down sight, it takes 3 seconds for the gun to become fully charged when aiming down sight. If you come out of aiming down sight, it will cancel that and you have to reset it the next time you aim down sight, so just keep that in mind. And once it fully charges, you deal triple the amount of damage. This means that in its standard 3-shot kill range, which is 20 meters, it will be a 1-shot kill. Beyond that, it's going to take more than 1 shot to kill with a charged shot, but keep in mind you'll still be dealing a lot of damage to somebody with a charged shot beyond 20 meters, and therefore it's just going to take 1 extra non-charged shot to finish the guy off. Now one thing that's a little bit confusing to some people, and initially I was confused about this as well, do you get extra damage for half charging your shot, so you don't let it fully charge, but you let it charge a little bit and then fire your shot? And the answer to that is no. Your gun is either charged or it's not charged. So if you aim down sight for 2.5 seconds and fire a shot, you deal absolutely 0 extra damage for doing that. So there will be situations where you definitely have to decide with this gun, do I wait that extra little bit and get the fully charged shot, or do I have to start shooting right now in order to win this gunfight? So that's the base G-Rrail. It's actually pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's a standard semi-auto gun. I would say it's not really all that great, but now let's start getting into the variants. This is where things definitely change. Aside from the common variant, which we're going to start with here, the common variant is the V1 Vortex. With the Vortex, there's no significant change whatsoever. You just get stockpile on the gun, which increases your magazine capacity to 19 rounds, and that means your total starting ammo is now increased to 57 rounds. Aside from that, it's exactly the same gun. From here on out is where the variants really start to change how this gun behaves. Our rare variant is called the V2 Helix. And with the Helix we get sensor as well as sharpshooter, but these weapon perks don't really matter nearly as much as something that's going on behind the scenes, and this is the fact that this gun becomes a 2-round burst. So instead of being semi-auto, it's now a 2-round burst, kind of similar to the RVN. And with this gun, we get Sensor, which we've seen before. When you shoot an enemy, he appears on the minimap in real time for you as well as your teammates as a bright red dot for 3 seconds. And we also get Sharpshooter, which is essentially irrelevant on this. Just ignore Sharpshooter. Normally, Sharpshooter increases all your damage ranges by 5%, but the entire gun completely changes, so we're just going to throw that perk out the window. This gun has a different set of damage values, and this is actually a flat 33 damage based on what I was able to calculate here. So that means at any range, this gun is going to be a 4-shot kill. That is, until you charge it. Once you charge the V2 Helix, it's going to be a 2-shot or 1-burst kill at every range, assuming both of your bullets will hit. So as you can see, the rare variant of the G-Rrail is a significant difference from the base, and it's essentially its own unique gun. The same thing carries over to the legendary variant, which is the V3 Enigma. With the V3 Enigma, this now becomes a 3-round burst assault rifle. So this one is somewhat similar to the R3K, although I did a little bit of hand testing on the rate of fire because it's much easier to test the rate of fire on a burst gun with a 3-round burst compared to a 2-round burst. But it actually seems to have a slower rate of fire within the burst compared to the R3K, and it also has a longer delay between the bursts compared to the R3K. As for its damage values, it looks to be a 35, 33, 30 damage, and those damage ranges are the same as the base G-Rrail. So what this means is it's going to be a 3-shot kill or 1-burst kill out to 20 meters. Beyond 20 meters though, it's going to be a 4-shot kill out to infinity, and therefore you're not going to be 1-bursting people after 20 meters unless you land a headshot, in which case you will be able to get a 1-burst kill where 2 of the shots hit the body, 1 hits the head, out to 45 meters. Once again, just like with the V2 though, if you are charging up your gun for this, this will be a 1-burst kill at any range. When it's fully charged, within 20 meters, all you have to do is hit 1 out of the 3 bullets in a burst to get a kill, and beyond 20 meters, all you have to do is hit 2 of the bullets within a burst while it's charged to get a kill. So that leaves a little bit of freedom, and this gun is very consistent at getting those 1-burst kills when you are fully charging it. But if you choose to use it as just a normal 3-round burst assault rifle and you don't charge it, this is a significantly worse gun compared to the R3K. As for its weapon perks, once again, these weapon perks aren't really what defines this gun, it's more so the fire mode change. But we do get Gambler, which every time you get a 3-kill streak, you earn a random perk up to 3 maximum within a life, and this expires on death. And we also get Readiness, which allows you to reload about 40% faster when your magazine is low. So finally, let's move on to the epic variant of the G-Rrail, and this is the Fusillade. This one follows the same pattern. Instead of a 2 or 3-round burst, this is the V4, which means it's a 4-round burst, and it's the only 4-round burst assault rifle in Infinite Warfare. A lot of people have been comparing this to the M8. They say this is the M8 of Infinite Warfare because the M8 was a 4-round burst assault rifle in Black Ops 2 as well as Black Ops 3. I calculated the rate of fire on the Fusillade though, and it is quite a bit slower than the M8, or at least the burst delay is quite a bit slower. Within the burst itself, we fire at about 777 rounds per minute, but we have a 350 millisecond delay between each one of our bursts, and this is quite a long time in Call of Duty terms. Keep in mind, the time to kill of a lot of weapons in the game is actually lower than the delay between your bursts. So if you miss your first burst with this in a face-to-face gunfight, you're basically done for. Our damage profile is the same as the base, but our ranges have changed up. So it is going to be a 3, 4, or 5-shot kill range, but as you can see here, these are the ranges for the Fusillade. And our 3-shot kill range, instead of being 20 meters, is now up to 30 meters, and our 4-shot kill potential goes from 45 meters up to right around 50 meters with this variant. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the ranges here is, yes, it can get a 1-burst kill out to 50 meters, but there is a decent amount of inaccuracy within the burst when you start to get to longer ranges. As you can see here with the recoil of this epic variant, it definitely kicks around a little bit within the burst. You should be just fine within close to medium ranges, but once you start getting to the longer ranges, you're definitely going to be missing a few bullets within a burst. Also with this variant, we do get an increase to our magazine capacity. We now have 36 rounds in the magazine. And with a charge shot, this turns into a 2 to 3 shot kill weapon. So it is capable of getting a 1-burst kill at any range in the game if it's fully charged, but you will have to hit 3 out of the 4 shots, and like I said, once you get to those really long ranges, there is a little bit of inaccuracy within the burst, and you might have to take 2 shots to get your kill, even when fully charged. As you can see here though, this is the 2-shot kill potential all the way out to 50 meters, so most of the time all you have to do is hit 2 out of your 4 shots within a burst when it's charged to get a kill. And with this variant, we have the Overlord perk, which causes enemies to explode when you kill them with a charged shot, and that explosion can actually harm nearby enemies. Now, I did some testing with this thanks to Dylan the Thief as well as COD Ghost 619. They both have this epic variant and they volunteered to help me out. And as you can see right here, this is the maximum range that you will take damage if you're standing next to a teammate that gets blown up with the fusillade. That's a pretty decent damage radius, and also within that damage radius, even if you're on the outside edge of that, it appears to do approximately 70 damage to players, so it's definitely powerful when you blow up an enemy. But in order to get a kill on a full health enemy with this explosion, this is how far apart the two players can be when one of them explodes. So this definitely has potential to be a very powerful perk, especially in modes like Domination, where enemies tend to be grouping up, or if you just get a bunch of campers up in a window or something like that, you can definitely rack up some extra kills by getting a fully charged shot with this variant. So in addition to all of that, we also get the focus weapon perk on this variant, which gives us a 50% reduction to our idle sway. So after looking at all of the variants of the G-Rrail, it's pretty clear that variants are a big deal for this gun. For a lot of weapons, their variants just make minor changes, but not with the G-Rrail. These are definitely completely unique guns when you go for the variants, and these variants actually make quite a big difference. I would much rather use the burst versions of the G-Rrail over the semi-auto one. The semi-auto G-Rrail just doesn't cut it in my mind. It's usable, but it's not that great. But all of the burst variants definitely have potential. Now, one thing I will say is I do feel like the epic variant, the fusillade, is maybe a little bit overrated. It is definitely good, it is definitely powerful, and I would say it is probably the best variant of the G-Rrail, but I don't feel it's quite as good as a lot of people make it out to be. It's not as good as the M8s that we've seen in the past because of that burst delay. It's not a super forgiving gun. Having said this, it still does have the potential to dominate, and it is amazing to have that extra perk of being able to blow up an enemy and kill surrounding players. One thing I should note with that is if you happen to get a charged shot on an enemy that's close to you, you can damage and kill yourself, so just be careful with that. So now that we've covered all of the variants of the G-Rrail, what attachments would I recommend with this? For me, of course, quick draw is an absolute must-have, especially with this gun because it has a slower base aim down sight time. If you're not using quick draw on this gun, I feel like you're doing something wrong. And also with this gun, stock is an excellent choice. Now normally I don't really use the stock attachment because my playstyle is really suited to jumping around like crazy, and when you're in the air, stock doesn't really help you. But with these guns, when you charge them and you want to get that really powerful shot, it really helps to be able to strafe around on the ground and be able to move in and out of cover and challenge your enemies that way. So those are my two recommended variants for this gun. Definitely quick draw and stock is a great option as well. Anything aside from that is really up to you, but I absolutely love those attachments with this. And with that, I'd like to know in the comment section below. First off, what is your favorite variant of the G-Rrail? And second, do you think the variants are a little bit on the powerful side for this gun, especially with it being locked in the Quartermaster collection? For me personally, I overall don't think any of these variants are particularly powerful, especially with the long burst delays on these burst weapons. Having said that, I don't like the fact that these are completely unique experiences and they're completely different from the base, and they're locked behind supply drops. So it's great that we get the base models for free when they bring in new guns, but when they have the variants that are locked behind supply drops and it completely changes how that gun works and behaves, that's where the line definitely starts to become gray for me. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.